Hello, very nice to see all of you, and I see some familiar faces today, so thank you for joining us again today. So, if you attended the last 2 days, you must have seen a lot of startups and investors talking about going global, and you really cannot go global without expanding into China. And that's what our next keynote is, in fact, the first keynote of the day is all about. So I would really like to invite Mr. Bo Ji, founder of China Start, and he's going to answer all your questions through his keynote, what you have about China while you're expanding from Europe. So the stage is all yours, Bo Ji.
Good morning. So who has been to China in this room? Wow, a lot of you. So what's your impression about China? Very diverse, very neutral answer. Anything bad? It's all good? It's a great country, great people, and great food, right? So today I wanted to give you some good understanding about China. So where is the slides changer? Can I use this? Yeah, I have. Could you bring up my slides? Yeah. Okay, so I myself grew up in Shanghai, a city with about 30 million population. So when I come to any European city, this city have about 8 million people. It's a pretty big city, right? So I always think, well, compared to Shanghai, it's a small potato. Now today, I'm loaded with money, ready to invest to you. And I myself is an investor, and also a lot of my buddies who always ask me when I go to conferences to spot projects. So I have a lot of mandate. And I have a lot of friends who have multi-billion-dollar funds, and we have mandate with them as well. So sometimes we could invest for that. Now, so this is a little bit about myself. So I ask organizer just to say I'm the founder of China Start, but I have many other roles, and including the impact, which you're talking about, impact investing. We have a club I funded in London called Impact 17 Plus 1 Club. You perhaps know what is 17, which is SDG 17 goal. That one is each one of us. We have to be part of this force to drive the impact. We have an iTalk platform, so one day I may invite you to speak there. So U.S.-China trade war has getting a lot of attention globally. And when you think about U.S.-China trade war, you think, wow, the two large world powers are in conflict. That means terrible for all of us. But today I'm telling you a different news because you don't want to be fooled by politicians. Because when you fight on the political front, now silently, businessmen like you are developing the relationship and business with China. So that's why I'm telling you here, we see some of the development, including the Huawei's, the CFO has been released recently. I'm supposed to go to the Frankfurt tonight, but tonight I need to be in Paris for a dinner with Huawei CEO in Europe. So we're going to talk about a lot of things happening in Europe through the Huawei. Now, good news is, despite trade war, the trade between U.S. and China actually grew. This is astonishing. On one hand, you see the conflict. On the other hand, you see they're shaking hands. That is very interesting, right? Behind the table, they're mating. They're doing business with each other. This is so true in the real life. You have a lot of German philosophers, including Hegel here. The philosophy is all about how to manage the conflict. In the Chinese, philosophy, there is yin-yang. Whenever there is a yang, there is a yin. Whenever there is a bad thing, there's good things. So you can see in our world stage, it's happening in front of us, something interesting. So my first point to you is, don't be fooled by what is happening superficially, but actually looking for opportunity to work with China. I won't explain all the numbers. opportunity brought by U.S.-China trade war is actually helping Europe, because a lot of Chinese investment couldn't go to U.S. For instance, some of our alumni work for a business school called Cheung Graduate School of Business. Perhaps you don't know, I don't blame you. It's the best in China. And we actually created 35 unicorns among our students. One of them is Jack Ma, maybe you know, of Alibaba. The other one, maybe you also know, is the founder and chairman of TikTok. So he's our, EMBA student. So anyway, we have many of those people. But the reason I say that is these people used to invest in U.S. And some of our students, when they arrived at the U.S. airport, they were jailed because you invested in the U.S. AI technology. And they say that you have a problem. You shouldn't invest in that. So, U.S. is very good at doing that, putting people in jail through FBI. There's a French gentleman wrote a book about that called American Trap. You should read that book and be careful every time you travel to the U.S. And so, Chinese cannot go to U.S. to invest. Where do they go? They come here. I have a friend who is Matthew Wang. He's running the Sky Saga Capital, and also another friend running the Cybernaut. And they have $6 billion US fund. They're talking about establishing an office here in Berlin because they see the German technology and German product could be very well sorted by Chinese. So a lot of money are now coming to Europe instead of going to the United States. And China foreign direct transaction, you can see that UK is number 150. Why UK is very strong? Not because UK has great technology. It's because the UK people, they are very active in going to the Chinese way. They have an organization called CBBC. They have 26 offices all across China. So I encourage your government here also do something more. I know German doesn't like to talk a lot, but learn French, British, talk a lot to Chinese, and you're going to get a lot of investment to come here. And second, Germany 22, Italy 15, and France is 14. So this is the landscape here. And if we look at the global innovation index, and China now ranked number 12, and Germany 10, a lot of German products and technology are very well sorted by Chinese. So you do have a great market in China. That's why I'm coming here. I make myself available today here. So if you're interested, you can talk to me. We can help you for that. And there are 102 unicorns from Europe. In 2021, there's 847 unicorns, and China represented 172, and U.S. 423, and Germany 19. So when I look at those numbers, I ask why the German startups doesn't go to China. You have a fair chance to become a unicorn. That's why my speech today is called a unicorn or dragon. Do you want to be a unicorn in Germany? Maybe it's very difficult. But if you go to China, you became a dragon. And that's Chinese unicorn. I'm going to explain to you. The Chinese unicorn is much bigger. That's why I call it a dragon, for that purposes. So if you look at the, Chinese unicorn on the top 20, on average size is 2.7 times higher in terms of valuation versus the U.S. So China produced not just unicorn, but a huge unicorn. I call them dragon, because China is a nation of dragon. You all know that. And Chinese are proud of themselves, call them their ancestor. They call them, they're the children of dragons. So, and if you look at here, in China, the total value of unicorn by country, China is 27% higher than U.S. So if you look at those charts, you're going to tell yourself, maybe China is my shot. Sometimes people tell me that it is difficult to go to China. And you also mentioned that you have to do some research for that. Of course, you have to do. It's easier to go to Silicon Valley. I used to live in the Silicon Valley for 5 years. And in Silicon Valley, you have people from all over the world, started from Germany, from China, from Asia, from everywhere. In India, there is a professor who came up with Blue Ocean strategy. He says that try to avoid competition. find a new blue ocean. So China is the new blue ocean for global startups. So as an entrepreneur, I always say that don't go to places that's highly competitive. And don't tell yourself it's difficult. As an entrepreneur, it's all about conquer the problem. Don't tell me that China is difficult, so I'm not going. I don't know about China. As an entrepreneur, you're supposed to conquer that. You're supposed to turn that difficulty into something very opportunistic. So I create this chart. So a lot of people started to copy me for this. So I'm writing a book. I already finished the writing called A China Start. This will be part of the book. Israel is very good at doing from 0 to 1. Anyone from Israel here? So I go to Israel every year to speak at our Crowd Investment Summit, which is the largest investment conference in Jerusalem. And they're very good at 0 to 1. They're very innovative, but at the same time, they don't have a market. Sorry for that. So they usually sell it or commercialize in U.S. And Europe is very good from 0 to 10. You do have some market, but not big enough. Your technology can be applied globally, not just in Europe, not just in Berlin, not just in Germany, not just in Europe. So your value cannot be realized. That's why you cannot produce a lot of unicorn, because of the limitation of the market size and accessibility to it. So U.S. is very good from 0 to 100. They have both technology, talents, and also market. But let's look at China. China is not very good at from 0 to 10. But China is very good at from 10 to 150. Because they have enormous and growing and satisfied market. If you go to China, you can sell almost anything from the West. Sometimes I feel devastated because, you have so many junks from the Americans that they're selling there. When McDonald's first entered into the Chinese market, and the waiting line from the store in Beijing was more than 1 mile. And the American reporter write a report in U.S. and they say that we don't understand. Our junk food became a luxurious product in China. Some of the hotel chain, which is 3-star hotel, went to China, became 5-star hotel. So you have an unbelievable opportunity to make it and make it big in China. So do not look down at your technology, think, oh, my technology is just average in Germany. But once you're in China, you may outperform versus the local Chinese company. So Chinese is not very good at from 0 to 10. I can explain to you why. Because Chinese society is too much harmonized society. Everybody thinks the same. They don't want to sticking out. The Western, culture emphasizes on creativity, individuality, promoting you as a human being. So as a result, China is not very good at from 0 to 10, but very good at execution. Once you tell them, go west, they do not deviate. If you ask them to go to China, walk to China, they walk. They're not going to argue to say why we don't take an airplane. The German will say, no, you're ridiculous. But Chinese listen. They listen to order. That's why they say that wear mask, everybody wear mask. That's why quickly China have 0 cases. Such a huge country, 0 cases. It's unheard of because they're very good at listening and executing. So commercialization, I have never seen any country who are able to execute the commercializing plan in China. I used to work for Wrigley Chewing Gum Company. The company have a factory. I used to manage the global supply chain, so I know all the factories in U.S., in Germany, in Poland, everywhere. The Chinese factory are the most efficient country, factories, because they are so good at executing. And the cost is low. So why China? Why you should go to China? Technology. Your technology is amazing. Go there. China need it. Why go to Silicon Valley? They don't need your technology. But China desperately need it. So you should go where people love you, right? And second is rising income. The Chinese are getting a lot of wealth. So now there's a lot of money there. They're willing to invest. And risk-taking investors. Investors in China, a lot of them made money fast. When you make the money fast, you spend fast, right? So not like a Western investor, you have to do a lot of smart people there and analyzing, blah, 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 give you a difficult time. But the Chinese investors are relatively easy, for that. They make decisions very fast. So now let's talk about how to get into China. China has a lot of incubator, accelerator, and they're in the same quality or if not better quality than the Western ones, like the one I see here. So in China, they are huge. One of my friends actually have this Tuzhou. Do I have this? Yeah, Tuzhou. It's the largest Chinese domestic incubator. They also invest. I know the CEO very well, there. And 创业班, CY Zone is also very big. Innovation work, all these companies, I work with them, personally. For that, I serve as advisor there as well. So, China has a lot, also foreign overseas one, Plug and Play, for instance. The owner of Plug and Play in China is my student. So I also brought her to Germany here before. And Y Combinator, WeWork is very big in China, 500 startups, among many others. Almost all major ones has their offices in China. And China's accelerator incubator, you can access the capital. They serve as a platform. Sometimes the large corporation like Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent, JD, Amazon, Google, they all set up their own co-working space there. And we work with many of them, like Tencent. And some are value-based, and some are specialized, like we work and hire, for instance, for certain industry for that. China's angel VCP investment community is very active. I have access to so many of them because we go to the same conference to speak in many, many large conferences in China. So I live in Paris, but I travel to China before pandemic. It's about 12 times a year, sometimes 3 times a month. Sometimes I fly there and speak and come back and without staying in a hotel. So, and I know all of those players there. So they are very significant here on those charts. Some are that belongs to the more Western ones, some are the Chinese ones for that. But one of the things about the Chinese investor, they are very hardworking. Oftentimes if you don't have time to meet with them, you can run into them in the airport at 2 a.m. Literally at 2 a.m. They're still working. So this is an incredible group of people. They have associations. So China VCP Association Chairman is a very good friend of mine. He will come to Germany, so maybe one day I'll introduce him to you. He is also one of our alumni, and they have huge memberships across China as well. And also China Fund on Fund Association Chairman is also a very good friend of mine. And before pandemic, early last year, we were in Davos, and we organized Davos, a World Economic Forum for the global fund of fund alliances. So we have invited some of the big top people there. So how to get investment in China? Maybe you wanted to ask. First is to know the right people. You need to know you have a network with the investors. If you don't know them, because Chinese society, as you said, is very much emphasized on relationship. So if you don't have the relationship, they doubt about you. Because in Chinese culture, lack of rule of law, maybe you understood this. So they more rely on soft tie, governance. So I know you, so you're my friend, so I know whoever you introduce will be trusted, right? So that's how things work. And second is on the right train. Chinese are particularly emphasized on the train. And if you are on the right train, the money was through to your face. A few years ago in 2016, the trend was sharing economy. The shared bicycle concept, for instance, is everywhere in China. Many people come to me to say, hey, Bo, all those investors, and the companies, can you introduce me to the company? I want to invest, And that was like whenever you created a startup on that train, everybody threw the money to you. And third is give the right valuation. In China, the valuation tend to be higher than in Germany with very clear reason because Chinese market is bigger. So whenever you come up with something, then you talk about a 1.4 billion population versus here, you're talking about maybe 87 million population. That's a difference, right? So when you go to China, you need to have a right valuation. Not necessarily the lower valuation is better because they make people feel like you're maybe too small for us to invest. And get the right policy. You know, the Chinese economy are based on what we call planned economy. So there's a 5-year plan. Every year there's a plan. You have to go along with the Chinese government policy. For instance, right now, Chinese government emphasizes on the common prosperity. What is common prosperity? They want to make sure everybody getting rich, not just a few. The previous generation of Chinese leaders says that let a few people get rich first. And now they realize some social problem because there's a large base of people who are living under 200 euros a year. So they need to create this new scheme of common prosperity. If your company are doing something to addressing that societal issue, environmental issue, climate change, and things like that. Last month, China just had a 4th quality conference. And in the theme, one of the most important things is about climate change. So if you deal with that, then impact investing comes to your way. You are the right one. You need to make sure you, as a startup, and will do the right thing. So one of my friends always sit down with the startups and to understand who you are, what do you do? And then finally match the right term. Okay, I'm going to skip some of those. There are 4 steps I want to introduce you to get into China. First, in-depth understanding about Chinese consumer. They're a little bit different from the Western consumer. And second is to establish a local team. Many people say that, do I need to have a partner in China? I say no. Because in China now, we have a lot of professional managers who can be hired by you. Don't think it's difficult. You need to have a partner. That's the number one wrong thing to do. Go to China, find a partner. And the partner could become your enemy quickly. But if you hire your own team, they're under your command. They're very good at the execution, right? So you tell them to do things, and they're going to do it. And they're very well trained. They speak English very well. So why not, hire Chinese? Develop the right channel strategy, whether through e-commerce or distribution model, franchise, or traditional offline model. Create effective marketing strategy. Unfortunately, I cannot, now let me talk a little bit about establishing local team. You need to understand the differences because this gentleman just talked about that. So Western relationship based on equality, merit, but in China based on the mutual benefit, duty, and group dynamics. And, problem, you can read it all through. If you want to take a photo, it's fine too. So I will not, make trouble for that. Okay, create a right. Let me summarize. Seize the opportunity based on the U.S.-China trade war. And now it's a greater time and opportunity to go to China. And also, Europe technology plus Chinese capital plus market equals to a Chinese unicorn. Don't quote me on that. I'm saying you have a great potential to become a unicorn. Have more chance than otherwise you are in Europe. And understand China's accelerator, angel investment, in-depth understanding of Chinese consumer, develop the right channel strategy and effective marketing strategy. So to be the next unicorn in China now, so that's my encouragement. We have a program called China Start. I'm the founder of it. It's been 5 years, and it's really helping. You can go to our website, china-start.org, and we have all those people, attending. We have 10 batches already. So we're looking for 11th batch for the, early November this year. It will be online program due to the pandemic. So November 3rd to December 3rd. And you can, take this photo, my phone number, everything, contact me or talk to me after this. And today is all free. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.